is over.
It is.
But let's talk about some of the things that have gone on and some of the accomplishments here in West Pelzer over the past 12 months.
Yeah, so in 2022, we called it our first year out of COVID. That's when all of our events were back to being scheduled. So we were blessed this year to have West East Vintage Market in the spring. We had a summer series on the fourth Friday of every month in June, July, and August, where we had a band and a food truck. This fall, we kept our Pumpkin Palooza. It was not a drive-through this year, so we were glad to see our 2,500 children back in town dressed, getting candy. And then we ended with Farm Days, a West East Fall Vintage Market, and our annual Christmas parade. So also this year we welcomed 4 new businesses. So for the first time we shut down Main Street in West Pelzer and had a ribbon cutting. And we cut the ribbon for 24 West, which is a boutique and hair and nail salon, Baby Sumo, which is a Japanese restaurant, Cotton Duck, which is our local coffee roaster and sandwich shop, and then A1 Elegance, which is our gentleman's barber shop. So you can go there and get a gentleman's shave and a haircut. We're blessed to be moving into 2023 with a vision and a plan, and we council tonight actually will see the unveiling of a master plan for what the next 10 years could look like in West Pelzer.
And y'all had meetings on that master plan and got input from the community and all this stuff. Tell people a little bit about how the master planning went.
Yeah, so the process really was first meeting with stakeholders. And so we had pastors, long-term residents, residents that had just moved to town, elected officials, even met with DOT, the school district, REWA, Greenville Water, to kind of get a big idea plan for maybe what their thoughts were for expansion or for growth in the area. And then we had a public meeting, which was open to all residents and businesses of West Pelzer, but also those in the unincorporated areas that visit West Pelzer to eat, dine, shop. And so we were blessed to have about 300 stakeholders or public members that offered input. And just some of those big ideas were to improve traffic conditions. And so we're going to be meeting with DOT again about having on-street parking for all of Main Street. The other component was trail connections. West Pelzer has about 2.5 miles of sidewalks that any day of the week you'll see folks park at Chapman Park and then walk our sidewalks. They're all ADA accessible, and it's 1 mile long from the fire department to Highway 20. So people can do their 5K runs pretty easy in town. But it's time for us to start expanding that sidewalk network to our schools, also to other churches that are off of Main Street, and then ultimately trying to get to the Saluda River and the Big Creek Reservoir. So we've identified those two as our top natural resources that we need to make sure our community.
And y'all got some property down the Saluda River now.
We do. So we have 10 acres at the Saluda River, and we were blessed with the legislative delegation giving us a water rec grant for $25,000 in 2021. We've sat on that waiting for this process to be finished so that we know how we can best use that property. We have 3 routes to have a trail down to that property from downtown West Pelzer that we're going to be exploring, but then also the development of that park. And so plans will call for picnic shelters and for there to be a kayak launch. And this actually, because of the way the wetlands and the floodplain work in that area, this may be the only park in Anderson County that is only accessible by water. So we've had some crazy big idea conversations about what if the town of West Pelzer had a water taxi that took you to this park, or what if we had an additional kayak launch and partnered with the town of Pelzer so that you could drop your boat or kayak in and kayak up to this park. So we're going to continue to explore that, but the master plan does call that out as a prime natural resource that we need to invest in.
And what else is in the master plan you're going to talk about?
Yeah, so the master plan has guiding principles, and there are 6 guiding principles that council is tasked with implementation of, and those are strategic and intentional growth. So that's looking specifically at businesses that we know from market leakage would be beneficial in the area. So thinking about a bakery or a butcher shop or a wine and cheese shop. Those are our specific market opportunities. Vibrant places to gather. We have some amazing opportunities opportunities for our western gateway at Palmetto Road and the fire department. And so looking at how do we incorporate some additional signage in there, how do we start our streetscape through that area. Also, there's a couple of other vacant properties along Main Street and throughout the community that the town owns or has the potential to own that we want to start thinking about neighborhood parks and community parks. And then one of the big ideas for Vibrant Places is that directly adjacent to Town Hall is Chapman Park. And it has a parking lot that kind of bisects the municipal center in Chapman Park. And so one of the big ideas is to remove that parking area and construct a public parking lot behind the municipal center, which would expand Chapman Park, allow us to build a larger playground, have more seating areas, more picnic pavilions directly on Main Street. We want to be uniquely West Pelzer, and so uniquely West Pelzer means that we need to start embracing a large part of our history. And so being that we were Frankville in 1913, our downtown business district will be called the Frankville Business District. And so we have an entire brand and image packet that we'll be unveiling to our local businesses so that they can use what's called a Franken. Back in the day when you stamp your envelopes with it. So we have Frankens for all the businesses that we're going to be giving out to them for the downtown business district. Generational health and sustainability is looking at our aging population. How do we retain those that are leaving Palmetto High School and going to Clemson or USC or Tri-County Tech or Greenville Tech? How do we make sure that we're bringing those students back here when they graduate for home? We're the front porch to the Upstate, as I say in the master plan, and we want to be that bedroom community, the place where you lay your head and shop and dine, but then during the day perhaps you do go to Anderson or Greenville for work. We want to be safe, walkable, and connected, and so part of that streetscape, street parking, but the other components are improving our crosswalks. Here in our Frankville Business District at Hyman Street and Main Street, we've talked about closing off Hyman Street, having a festival street, perhaps similar to what was done in Greer, just on a much smaller scale where we have tables that are pulled out, we have the string lights, our festival lights, and we have, perhaps that becomes where our band sets up at. So we want to make sure that our crosswalks are safe, especially all along Main Street. And then finally, our core value of faith, family, and friends. And so we want to continue to have our annual events where our churches are involved, where our neighbors are involved, and where it becomes truthfully a community organized event where all 1,200 people that live here know about it, are engaged, and the 45,000 people that live within a 10-minute drive know that West Pelzer is a destination.
And what about housing starts this year? You got some new housing coming up this year?
So we have about 50 homes that are permitted or under construction in town right now. They're all in one subdivision called Palmetto Farms, located next to the elementary school. That's one of our unique opportunities, that we have a lot inside of that subdivision that will be a neighborhood park that we will develop in 2023. We also have on our council agenda tonight our first set of townhomes to be voted on. So we have a rezoning from single family to R6, which is multifamily or townhomes, and so that'll be about a 40 townhome development. First in West Pelzer. We're excited about what that could look like and how it's positioned in the community, and the additional 600 or 700 people that could be a part of that, from constructing it to living in it to maintaining it. Just super excited about what something like that could bring.
And a lot of people have trouble in their minds making that shift to townhomes, but particularly millennials, and you look at Greenville and other places around, that's where people are buying. They don't want to take care of a yard. They're really looking for the townhome kind of situation, right?
Yeah, they are. And one of the things that we do when we're looking at rezoning or annexations or the subdivision plats is we want to look at the surrounding area. And so our Palmetto Farms development has homes that face existing roads instead of a subdivision that is enclosed on itself, so we continue that street feel. They're also all half-acre lots, and the reason that we required that from the developer is that that's what was in the surrounding area. So we didn't want to have a mass density of people in that area. But you're right that townhomes or patio homes or smaller lots are becoming more of the norm, and that's why in that area it makes a lot of sense. It's surrounded by multifamily or public or institutional property, and so we can have a denser product over there. As a planner and landscape architect, I believe that cities should be the most dense places that there are. If you want to live in unincorporated Anderson County, then yes, you can have a 7-acre farm and have much larger lots. But cities are intentional that they should be the most dense places so that we can really keep up with what we've created. Without more people living here and there being a more denser population within that 10 or 15-minute drive time, then our businesses can't be successful. West Pelzer in the downtown Frankville business district cannot support a tap room, 2 salons, and a nail salon, 4 restaurants. We can't support that without a dense population or more people becoming dense just outside of city limits.
And what's on your agenda for the first quarter of 2023?
So 2023 for West Pelzer, I think, is going to be extremely special. Implementation of the master plan is one, but we were strategic in reserving the majority of our ARPA funds and the majority of our funds from the sale of the sewer system to REWA. And so we're blessed with a little over $500,000 that we can start to implement our master plan with. So I expect to see a lot of intentional growth and strategic development out of that. Unfortunately, tonight will be our last meeting for Councilwoman Alexander. She's moving out of town. Her family has been just a pinnacle of West Pelzer for years, with her father-in-law serving as mayor, her brother-in-law serving on town council years ago, and now Councilwoman Alexander serving. So first quarter of 2023, we're going to have an election for a new council member, which we're super excited about. We love Pat and we love what she was able to bring to the table, but knowing that we've grown by about 300 people since the last election, we're curious who may come to the table who perhaps lived out of state or out of country. Do we have some new ideas and frankly some fresh blood at the table? For 2023 as well is the mayoral election, and so sometime around the end of second quarter will be decision time for 2 council members and myself of what does the future of West Pelzer look like for us as an elected official, and are there people in waiting that want to be involved, and if there are, we welcome them to come to the table as well. We're going to keep our same events with our annual Christmas parade and vintage markets and our fourth Friday events in the summer, and we really hope to engage our community some more, perhaps have some new events. The annual yard sale will continue to be one of our events that the most people come to. But then how do we perhaps do some events a little differently? Do we have a Halloween parade, or do we have maybe a little different Christmas parade next year? Those will be things that the Council and Events Committee will be looking at in the first quarter.